Morning. Happy Monday to you, and thanks for joining us on Good Day Chicago. I'm Brian Jackson.
And I'm Gabriela Primus. Yeah, horrible news yesterday. Boys. They almost did it, though. They almost did it.
Mike has no words.
Mike is still wearing orange, and so are you. You know
I saw Mike wearing orange, so I went with a different pocket square.
There you go. I like it, guys.
I'm wearing my official Fox 32 Home of the Bears shirt here. Look, they had a great season. We can celebrate that. We can build on it for next year. But we were so close to getting it done again in just heart attack fashion. All right, be careful out there this morning. Brian should not have been riding the motorcycle into work. That was the first problem here. No, anything. It could be skating. It is just slippery out there. Not so much because a tremendous amount of snow is or has fallen. It is because of blowing snow and the fact it's so cold, the salt is not as effective. We have wind chills. It will likely still be 15 below zero at noon. 5 degrees will be the temperature then, and we'll get it back up to 7 degrees with some sunshine. But wow, it is just cold. These are the current numbers. 9 at Waukegan, 8 Midway and Joliet, 3 at LaSalle, Peru, still in the double digits in Northwest Indiana, 10s at Gary and Valparaiso. But look at these wind chills. They're getting worse. 22 below right now at Aurora's Airport. Feels like 12 below at O'Hare and also Chicago Heights. So let's see what kind of impact this blowing snow is having on the roadways. Gabriella, what's the latest?
And to be honest with you, Mike, it's kind of hard to keep up with all that's happening. We see a lot of crash icons here. Some are a little more minor than others, but really the weather is playing havoc on the roads this morning. Crashes on the Kennedy, Eisenhower, Dan Ryan. Also, there's a jackknife semi reported in Indiana on northbound I-65 near US 231. But a little bit closer to home, let's talk about some of these crashes. One is on actually Lower Wacker at the Eisenhower. This is a horrible spot because it's that really long ramp that takes you up onto the Eisenhower. Reportedly, it's blocking at least one lane on Lower Wacker going over to the Eisenhower. So keep that in mind if you're trying to take a shortcut, maybe get away from those snow-covered roads and you're taking those underneath streets. Also on the outbound side of the Dan Ryan, we did have a full closure at 63rd Street in the express lanes. Well, a full closure in those express lanes. It looks like all lanes have reopened. It was an earlier car fire and cleanup has been completed. So everyone now is able to use those express lanes before they're all being forced out into the local lanes at 59th. I'll keep you updated. Your drive times, they are slow right now, but still under 30 minutes for most of your drives here. I'll let you know.
To send the Rams to the championship game. Vegas from 42 online, and it's good. And the Los Angeles Rams go to the championship game.
Still hurts to watch that, right? And with that, magic runs out on the Bears season as they lose in overtime of the divisional round of the playoffs to the Rams.
And we all thought they could pull it off after that miracle win, pull off another miracle win after Caleb Williams' incredible touchdown pass on 4th down late in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it was an insane play, right? Many we saw this season. Our Cassie Carlson has reaction from the locker room last night.
More than 60,000 Bears fans waited after the Rams hit the game-winning field goal in overtime to give the Bears a standing ovation as they walked off the field one final time this season. A team that had no expectations going into the year became one of the best stories in the NFL, and their belief is part of the reason why Ben Johnson called this a special group, as many of the players said it was their favorite season they've ever had.
In these moments, you feel that you let your team down, or you feel that you know this or that, and it's a good lesson learned for us. First time been in this situation for me and for us as a team, and I'm excited for what's to come.
You don't get coaches like this very often, and I've had this probably been the most fun I've had playing football this year, with just so many of the special wins, the ups and the downs, the adversity we faced. It was a special group and a special year.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to be here. So I think really just for us, just sticking together as a unit from the very beginning. And I mean, just even when I was out, just watching the team win, it was very inspiring. Pull off wins that we haven't pulled off in a very long time was inspiring. So I mean, for this team, I know we've been inspiring the city, inspiring people, and proving doubters wrong.
When you're with a group of men for the last time in the locker room, and it's just not going to be the same going forward. That I appreciate all of them, the men and the women, coaches, players, support staff, everybody that had a role this season. It was a special year, and this will be hopefully a feeling in this locker room that we won't forget, and we'll be able to use it as fuel going forward.
You know, when you don't get to that, it really sucks. And I mean, this was such a great team to be part of this year, and just sucks it had to end.
And no one expected us to be here, but we did. And you know, we could hang our heads up high, but you know, the losing part is tough, and you know, obviously the splitting part is going to be tough. So
it was rough, man. It was rough. Obviously, you know it's never going to be the same team back to back. So this was a tight-knit group, and you know, got a lot of great guys in this locker room, and you know, had a tremendous year. A lot of emotions going up and down, but you know, there's a lot of appreciation going on for sure.
Part of the disappointment in the locker room is the team knowing that the group will never be together again. Many are free agents, including Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker. Brisker sat at his locker in his pads for a long time, one of the longest sitting there after the game ended. He said that he would like to be back in Chicago, but they'll see what happens this offseason. Covering the Bears at Soldier Field, Cassie Carlson, Fox Chicago Sports.
Well, today the nation remembers the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. MLK Day is held the third Monday each January. It is a day to recognize his work during the civil rights movement. There are events today across both the city and suburbs. Mayor Johnson will attend the annual Rainbow Push MLK Breakfast. Mayor Johnson will also attend City Year Chicago's annual MLK Day of Service at Morgan Park High School.
1,500 active duty soldiers are now on standby for a possible deployment to Minneapolis. President Trump has threatened to invoke the 19th Century Insurrection Act amid protests in Minneapolis over ICE agents. There's been no decision yet on whether President Trump will actually send those soldiers to Minnesota. More than 2,000 federal officers were brought in to ramp up immigration enforcement there.
The Department of Justice says it will pursue charges against a group of anti-ICE protesters that disrupted worship services at a church in Minnesota. They entered the city's church in St. Paul on Sunday and staged a protest against ICE activities. The protesters alleged that one of the church's pastors also leads the local ICE field office. They claimed that the field office is involved in violent tactics and illegal arrest. The demonstrators also chanted for justice for Renee Good, who was shot and killed by an agent earlier this month.
European allies are firing back at President Trump's tariff threat over Greenland. They call it a, quote, mistake and even blackmail, and say he's undermining transatlantic relations. The president announced he'll be imposing 10% tariffs from the 1st of February, which will then rise to 25% on June 1st, until a deal is reached to purchase Greenland. He insists it's critical for America's national security, and the land is also rich in minerals.
A woman is dead following a crash on South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Police said that the car was traveling near the 2500 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive yesterday morning when a driver lost control, hit a pole, and then crashed into the median. Officers say that the woman was hospitalized, where she later died. She was a passenger in the car. The driver and 3 other passengers were all taken to the hospital but are expected to survive.
2 businesses were heavily damaged when a building caught fire in McHenry. Crews responded to the scene yesterday afternoon on Riverside Drive. Heavy smoke could be seen pouring out of the building. City leaders say both Riverside Bakery and Reese's Bakery were significantly damaged. Riverside Bakery has been in business for more than 50 years. One woman says it's a staple in that community.
All the locals go here. They're known for their cookies and their chocolate donuts. The family's owned it forever, generations. And yeah, I mean, it's sad.
McHenry's mayor released a statement calling this a truly sad day for the city. He said he's also reached out to both businesses to offer assistance as they work to rebuild or relocate.
Well, the time is now 5:08 this morning, and the wild ride comes to an end as the Bears lose in overtime to the Rams, marking the end of their fantastic season.
Mike, you have a look at sports for us, but starting with this game.
You know, another one of those. We were so close, so close.
And it felt like it was destiny, right? After that catch,
after the Cole Kmet touchdown,
there's just no way we can't win.
Yeah, it was like, here we go again.
We're good, and we're driving, and then it hit a brick wall. All right, that's fine. It was another game of highs and lows, but this time the Bears come up just short in overtime. Caleb Williams had more magic left on this play. He's going to run 79 yards straight back, throw this ball 4 miles up in the air, and who's there to catch it? Natalie Bobke's favorite player, Cole Kmet. Left many saying it's going to be one of the greatest passes in NFL playoff history. This wasn't.
what this bad communication between Caleb and DJ Moore on this play, and Rams intercept it. They drive down and sets up the game-winning field goal, and the Rams season is extended. The Bears is over.
The best moments is being in that locker room after games and after wins, and being with the guys that you all have a common goal. You all sacrifice family time, and things like that, and all that you sacrifice to be in this position, to be in those moments. And so it's tough. And so, in these moments, you feel that you let your team down, or you feel that you know this or that, and it's a good lesson learned for us. First time being in this situation for me and for us as a team, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Probably had his best throw ever, and he also had his most interceptions ever with 3 INTs. Big ups and downs. But look, we were playing with borrowed money here at the end of the season, don't you think? This was a great year for the Bears, the fandom. They're going to head into the offseason looking to build on this season under first-year head coach Ben Johnson. All right, the Patriots, they're moving on to the AFC Championship. They're going to take on the Bo Nix-less Broncos next weekend. Texans quarterback. You think that, Caleb didn't have his best game? Boy, C.J. Stroud struggled against the Patriots defense yesterday. He threw 4 interceptions, and the Patriots cruise 28-16. The Bulls hosted the Nets at the United Center. Kobe White leading the way in scoring for the Bulls. He finished with 24. That's a nice drain right there. Nikola Vucevic, he ends up with a double-double, 17 points and 11 boards. And the Bulls go on to win this one, 104-102. You're not done with football, are you? I hope not. There's another big game coming up tonight. It's the National Football College Championship game. Heisman-winning quarterback Fernando Mendoza and the #1 ranked Indiana Hoosiers are going to take on the U of Miami. The game is played at their home stadium, Hard Rock in Miami, and we'll see how well they do. Indiana heavily favored in that game, and of course our own Anthony Ponce hoping they get her done. All right, weather-wise, there is still some light snow falling in parts of the area. You can kind of see how everything is dusted there. Streets, for the most part, are just wet, but there are some icy spots. This view here from Shedd Aquarium, when I see this kind of blurry look, it's snowing right there. Not a lot, but it's snowing at O'Hare. Light snow, 7. West-northwest wind at 17, so the wind chill is 12 below 0, and that's not the coldest number I'm going to share with you here. We have goose eggs for a temperature at Rockford and DeKalb, and that even colder air is overspreading all of Chicagoland. We've had our high for the day. 8 now at the lakefront, 10 at Valparaiso. Michigan City, get ready. You're going to have a heavier snow shower there shortly. Winds are gusting to 45 miles an hour in Sugar Grove. Wow. 30-mile-an-hour gust at O'Hare, 28 mph at Waukegan, 38-mile-an-hour gust currently at Kankakee. So let's look at these other wind chills. A few spots are worse than -20, including Aurora, LaSalle, Peru, DeKalb, and Rockford. Everybody, it's painful to be outside for any period of time. Visibility, not surprisingly, lowest at Aurora with that very high wind, but there's a little bit of light snow falling almost anywhere, and where the snow isn't falling, it's going horizontally across roadways because of these gusty winds. Cold weather advisory. This is what used to be the wind chill advisory. Now it's just to say, hey, it's really cold out there. This will be in effect until noon. Wind chills could be as bad as 25 below 0. On radar, not a lot, but here's this heavier snow shower going through Michiana and a few other kind of northwest to southeast oriented little stripes of heavier snow. Nothing heavy, but that would possibly block out some of your visibility for a few hundred feet if you're driving around and lead to a quick coating on top of those roadways. So be safe out there this morning.
Definitely. Thanks, Mike.
Well, President Trump is facing some pushback from European leaders in his effort to acquire Greenland.
We're talking with Fox political analyst Doug Luzader right after this break.
Join us for the perfect midday hang.
Season comes to an end. Caleb Williams threw a late miracle touchdown pass to tie the game at the end of the fourth quarter. Game ended up going to overtime where an interception led to the game-winning field goal for the Rams. Bears lose a heartbreaker, 20-17.
Today, the nation remembers the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. MLK Day is held the third Monday in January. It's a day to recognize his work in the civil rights movement. There are events today across the city and suburbs.
1,500 active duty soldiers are now on standby for a possible deployment to Minneapolis. President Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act and make protests over ICE agents.
President Trump is ramping up pressure on Europe to cut a deal on Greenland.
He's now threatening new escalating tariffs on 8 European countries if it doesn't happen. Our Doug Luzader joins us from Washington this morning. So, Doug, what exactly is President Trump proposing with these new tariffs, and how does Denmark fit into the broader trade picture?
Well, President Trump still has designs on getting a hold of Greenland, purchasing it, ideally. And he's pursuing that to the point that he's talking about the tariffs on a number of European allies, including Denmark, which, of course, oversees Greenland. You know, they're just running into a lot of resistance. You have Europe that is generally against this. You have Greenland and Denmark that are both against this. And then you have opposition here in Congress, and it's not just coming from Democrats, but some Republicans as well. Where there is bipartisan agreement, it's that Greenland is strategically very important and arguably growing in importance. So there's a reason why the U.S. has an interest in this, but how far are we willing to go to get a hold of it? That's the question for the president here, and would we upend trade relationships to make it happen? If there isn't a deal, I mean, you could have in coming months significant tariffs on a number of European allies, which they may, you know, have reprisals of their own as far as that's concerned. So this is really kind of ratcheting up the tension here, as the president still has his sights set on the U.S. taking over Greenland.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's backing down. And kind of to your point there, how could these tariff moves affect U.S. relationships with European allies if they are tied to negotiations like this one with Greenland?
Well, you know, tariffs can have an impact on the economy. You know, the markets aren't open today, but if they were, we'd probably see a pretty strong reaction here. You know, tariffs affect trading relationships, and these are some pretty big trading partners.
All right, that is our Doug Luzader reporting live from Washington. Thanks for your time this Monday morning.
Thank you.
All right, and now we're taking a look at weather with Mike Kaplan. Mike, we love that you're still wearing the orange to lift our spirits. Yes. Because you know what? We do have next season. It's going to look a little different with the team, but I have hope.
Yes. We have to be pleased with what they did.
We were in literally worst place last year.
Exactly.
Worst in the division.
For years. And this was such a refreshing change. You know, I did not feel awful. I wanted them to win the game, but it's not like it was like, oh, no. We can build on this for next year. So I'm still celebrating the season that we had. It was way better than I think than pretty much anybody expected. All right, we have snow. It was kind of cool seeing that snowfall yesterday. I think it did impact the game, probably both teams, right? There's still a little bit of falling snow out there, not much. The main disturbance, where you see these darker blues passing off to the east, what we'll be left with for the rest of the day is blowing snow for the most part. And that can be problematic in and of itself, because that crosses a roadway that may have just been plowed, and it recovers it and makes it slicker than you know what. The main story is the cold, though. We're going to have wind chills, I think, all day long, kind of in that minus 15 or worse range. Tonight will be very cold, and tomorrow's going to be no bargain either. And there's another blast of Arctic air coming in for the weekend. Between now and then, another little clipper system coming in. There you see it. It's off to our northwest tomorrow, and it's going to spread some light snow in here, I think, late tomorrow night into the early morning hours of Wednesday. It's a quick hitter, typical clipper fashion, you know, maybe an inch or two of accumulation. That's a cold front. That will come through, maybe with a flurry on that as well. So the point is, there are multiple chances for a little bit of light snow, including what's coming down out there this morning, but there's no big snowstorm in sight. In terms of the snow for late tomorrow night into Wednesday, looks like the heaviest snow, maybe an inch or so, will fall Lake and McHenry County. Farther south you go, the less snow will come down. 18 happened already. The rest of the day, we're going to be in single digits with wind chills maybe as bad as 25 below zero. West winds at 15 to 25. We will see a little bit of sunshine, but it's no picnic out there. It's also no picnic on the roads. Gabriella,
goodness,
what do you got for us?
You know what? I'm trying to follow all these crashes that are going on, and it's really hard to because crews luckily are on them right away. But still, you know, there's a lot popping up, kind of disappearing. Maybe they're unfounded when crews do get there. But let's talk about a couple. One is the latest. Westbound I-290 near Biesterfield, there's a crash that's at least blocking a lane or two. Police are responding right now. But also on the Eisenhower going outbound closer to the city at Congress Parkway, there's an accident over on the right shoulder. And the last one to talk about really that might be impacting traffic is an accident on the inbound side of the Dan Ryan at 71st, and it's blocking both shoulders. So there's going to be flashing lights on both sides for drivers going inbound on the Dan Ryan. We just got rid of that crash closer to, what was it, 59th or 63rd. That was blocking all of the express lanes. That has since reopened, but it's still a little bit of stop and go as we approach that area. I'll keep you updated on this. I'm not seeing any big train trouble right now, but we know that the trains don't like the cold, so make sure you keep on checking your Metro app. You keep on checking your L trains as well.
Well, dozens are killed in a train crash in Spain. We got the latest on the investigation there.
Plus, the State Department is freezing immigrant visa processing starting this week. We'll have the details coming up.
All right, time is now 5:25. Definitely be careful getting out the door this morning. Some snow overnight made those roads out there very slick if you do have to go into the office this Monday morning. Well, the death toll from Iran's crackdown on anti-government protests has now climbed to over 3,900 people. Tehran streets have been quiet in recent days as protests tapered off amid thousands of arrests. The Trump administration says it is closely watching the developments after Iran promised to halt executions, though President Trump is still not ruling out military force. Iran's neighbors warned that military action could rattle the global economy.
President Trump has established a new oversight board for Gaza. The Board of Peace will oversee the relationship between Israel and Gaza. Trump will serve as the chairman of the board and says its establishment is just the next phase of his 20-point peace plan for that region. The board will include leaders from Palestine and has a backing of the U.S., Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar. In Spain, authorities say at least 39 people are dead after two high-speed trains traveling in opposite directions collided. This happened in the southern part of the country near Malaga and Madrid. Police say the evening train came off the rails and jumped onto the opposite track. Both trains were carrying roughly 500 people.
Well, starting Wednesday, the State Department is freezing immigrant visa processing for 75 countries. This indefinite pause includes Somalia, Russia, Afghanistan, Iran, and more. The State Department says the freeze will remain active as long as it takes to ensure new migrants are not using social welfare services.
527 now, talking weather. And Mike, you know, at least last week we got a little taste of what the cold's going to be like, and then boom, here it is.
It was cold this
Yeah,
weekend.
well, we have another blast of Arctic air coming in here just in time for next weekend.
Oh, perfect.
There'll be a little bit of snow in between. We're still seeing some snow showers out there this morning, and they're kind of oriented northwest to southeast. Nothing very heavy. The heaviest snow is actually just moving towards New Buffalo, Michigan. But you can see these little stripes of snow here. I'll pause it, maybe highlight a couple of these areas. You know, there's one here in southwestern Cook County. Here's one in Will County. There's another one going towards Yorkville. These are all drifting off to the east-southeast, and they should be out of here in the next couple of hours. But you are going to see some reduced visibility during those heavier snow showers. Again, not a big deal, but because it's so windy, it really looks impressive, and it's creating some very hazardous travel conditions out there. We do have a cold weather advisory in effect, and it's for all of Chicagoland, including the Joliet area, Chicago, Waukegan, McHenry, Geneva. And then in purple, it's a winter weather advisory for some sticky snow. May come down a little bit more heavily downwind of the lake, northern LaPorte and Berrien County. Our high today, it happened. It was 18 at midnight. Now we're falling through the single digits. Morning snow, then blowing snow, even as skies try to clear a little bit. It'll be windy and cold, falling temperatures. Wind chills may be as bad as 25 below zero this morning. Let's take a look at some of the wind chills now. Yeah, we got a minus 23. That's about the worst of it, DeKalb and Aurora. 7-day forecast, as I mentioned, there is more cold coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Highs will be only barely in the double digits with dangerous wind chills on the way as well. A little bit more snow coming in Tuesday night and Wednesday. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike.
Stick around. We got more news, weather, and traffic still to come this Monday morning.
And it's busy out there.
Live better, vote more.
All you need to live.
Now in Good Day Chicago, the magic runs out. The Bears' playoff run comes to an end in overtime against the Rams.
Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there are events all over the Chicago and the suburbs to honor his legacy.
Active duty soldiers are now on standby for possible deployments to Minneapolis. Mike.
All right, Gabrielle, you've been talking about the road conditions being bad out there, and no wonder. We have this kind of blowing snow, occasional falling snow. You can see the visibility being reduced due to snow right there along the lakefront. But the roads are so bad, there's an expressway. Part of it's closed, Gabby. Which is that?
Mike, early this morning around, 4:30 is when we saw actually the inbound side of the Dan Ryan, the express lanes closed. I think it was closer to 63rd. Well, now we have another closure on the inbound side of the Dan Ryan between Marquette and the Chicago Skyway, and solid traffic back to 69th Street. So it's somewhat a mess in this area. That's telling me that the conditions might be really slippery, although I did see salt trucks out in force this morning. Please be careful out there. A couple crashes as well on the Eisenhower, including on the westbound side on the Eisenhower at Biesterfield Road, still blocking at least a couple of lanes there. But we had that clear up on the outbound side of the Eisenhower at Congress Parkway, excuse me. So that has been cleared. I also want to mention just some train trouble that were happening only on Union Pacific Northwest. And it's a train that was scheduled to depart Crystal Lake at 4:45 a.m. They decided they're not going to operate it all together. It's due to operational issues. There are some other trains that are scheduled that will accommodate passengers. So please keep on checking your Metro app as well as your L trains. But yeah, really just a mess out there because of the snow.
Yes, and that snow is leading to some dangerous conditions out there on the roads.
Well, Roseanne is live with the latest. Roseanne, how's it looking out there?
Well, you know, it's really not that there's snow coming down. It's the snow that's on the ground. It is blowing, and so it's creating like icy conditions on the roadways. So we have seen some plows. We've seen the salt spreaders out this morning, but we've also seen a couple of accidents. One of them, I think you mentioned, Gabby, was near the station when we were leaving. So people are sliding out. It's that black ice. You know, it's so dangerous. So you want to be very careful out here. We just talked to a gentleman who was saying, you know, he loves this, but he's a plow driver, so he's going to have some business later today. So we are in Countryside. We're at Joliet Road and what is the other street? LaGrange Road, and basically Route 66. So Jake, can we talk to you real quick? Jake works here at the Circle K. You've been talking to people. What are they saying about this weather?
It's brutal out here.
Right?
Man, I had to jump my truck off twice.
You had to get it started?
Yeah, to get it started.
Oh, wow. And how would you describe the roads when you were on your way to work?
It was slippery. It was real slippery. A couple of black ice. There were a couple of people spinning out.
Right.
But I took it slow.
Yeah.
Speed limit 25. I was doing 20.
Yeah, that's a great policy. Just take it easy today. And yeah,
be safe.
Right. And you know, I always see people who are, I'm looking at a guy right now. Everybody gets out of their car in a fleece because they got the heat cranked. But make sure you have a coat in your car, because if something goes wrong, you're going to be stuck out in this.
You'll be messed up if you don't have no coat get in the car and your car stop. Yeah. I fixed 2 flats this morning.
Already?
I fixed 2 flats on somebody's car.
Okay.
And I froze like this.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah, we'll let you get back inside, sir.
Thank you.
Where's your coat?
Yeah,
but we appreciate you coming out to talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good day.
Yes, you too. And I understand there's another plow. They're everywhere. If they're not plowing actively, they're on their way to a location to plow some of the slushy stuff out of the way. But remember, you know, the salt that they're spreading isn't super effective when the temperatures are this cold. That's why it really is critical to be careful today. So we'll keep you posted on how things go. Be talking to you throughout the morning.
All right, thank you, Rosanna. You make very good points, because everyone needs to have that coat on, especially if you're coming out of your garage, you're going out on your usual commute. You never know what's going to come up, and it's nice to have that report, because it kind of shows us what's really going on out there. Every commute is a little bit different. We appreciate it.
Sure.
To send the Rams to the championship game. Davis from 42 online, and it's good. And the Los Angeles Rams go to the championship game.
And with that, the magic runs out on the Bears season, losing to the Rams in overtime of the divisional round of the playoffs.
We all thought they could pull off another miracle win after Caleb Williams' incredible touchdown pass.
Oh, man, it was so great.
On the fourth down late in the fourth quarter.
So close, right? Our Cassie Carlson has more reaction from the locker room.
More than 60,000 Bears fans waited after the Rams hit the game-winning field goal in overtime to give the Bears a standing ovation as they walked off the field one final time this season. A team that had no expectations going into the year became one of the best stories in the NFL, and their belief is part of the reason why Ben Johnson called this a special group, as many of the players said it was their favorite season they've ever had.
In these moments, you feel that you let your team down, or you feel that you know this or that, and it's a good lesson learned for us. First time been in a situation for me and for us as a team, and I'm excited for what's to come.
You don't get coaches like this very often, and I've had this has probably been the most fun I've had playing football this year, with just so many of the special wins, the ups and the downs, the adversity we faced. Yeah, it was a special group and a special year.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to be here. So I think really just for us, just sticking together as a unit from the very beginning. And I mean, just even when I was out, just watching the team win, it was very inspiring. Pull off wins that we haven't pulled off in a very long time was inspiring. So I mean, for this team, I know we've been inspiring the city, inspiring people, and proving doubters wrong.
When you're with a group of men for the last time in the locker room, and it's just not going to be the same going forward. That I appreciate all of them, the men and the women, coaches, players, support staff, everybody that had a role this season. It was a special year, and this will be hopefully a feeling in this locker room that we won't forget, and we'll be able to use it as fuel going forward.
When you don't get to that, it really sucks. And this was such a great team to be part of this year, and just sucks it had to end.
No one expected us to be here, but we did, and we could hang our heads up high, but the losing part is tough, and obviously the splitting part is going to be tough. So
it was rough, man. It was rough. Obviously, it's never going to be the same team back to back. So this was a tight-knit group, and got a lot of great guys in this locker room, and had a tremendous year. A lot of emotions going up and down, but there's a lot of appreciation going on for sure.
Part of the disappointment in the locker room is the team knowing that the group will never be together again. Many are free agents, including Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker. Brisker sat at his locker in his pads for a long time, one of the longest sitting there after the game ended. He said that he would like to be back in Chicago, but they'll see what happens this offseason. Covering the Bears at Soldier Field, Cassie Carlson, Fox Chicago Sports.
Well, today the nation remembers the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. MLK Day is held the third Monday each January. It is a day to recognize his work in the civil rights movement. There are events today across both the city and suburbs. Mayor Brandon Johnson will attend the annual Rainbow Push MLK Breakfast. Mayor Johnson will also attend City Year Chicago's annual MLK Day of Service at Morgan Park High School.
1,500 active duty soldiers are now on standby for possible deployment to Minneapolis. President Trump has threatened to invoke the 19th Century Insurrection Act amid protests in Minneapolis over ICE agents. There's been no decision yet on whether President Trump will actually send those soldiers to Minnesota. More than 2,000 federal officers were brought in to ramp up immigration enforcement.
The Department of Justice says it will pursue prosecutions against a group of anti-ICE protesters that disrupted worship services at a church in Minnesota. They entered the city's church in St. Paul on Sunday and staged a protest against ICE activities. The protesters alleged that one of the church's pastors also leads the local ICE field office. They claimed that field office is involved in violent tactics and illegal arrest. Those demonstrations also chanted for justice for Renee Good, who was shot and killed by an agent earlier this month.
European allies are firing back at President Trump's terror threat over Greenland. They call it a, quote, mistake and even blackmail, and say he's undermining transatlantic relations. The president announced he'll be imposing 10% tariffs from the 1st of February, which will then rise to 25% on June 1st until a deal is reached to purchase Greenland. He insists it's critical for America's national security, and the land is also rich in minerals.
Time is now 5:41 this morning. A lot of people don't have to go to work today for the MLK holiday, and thank goodness, because we got temperatures in the single digits out there.
Yeah, I bet that there would be a lot of schools that would have called off today because of the wind chill and just the really bad travel conditions that Gabrielle has been describing for us. So here's the deal. For the rest of the day, we've already had our high. Temperatures are now going to be stuck in the single digits. We've got blowing snow, wind chills. I think all day long are going to be about -15 or worse. The cold weather advisory expires at noon, but that doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's going to be, I can put on my short sleeves. Some sunshine, though, during the afternoon hours. I even think we'll see some sun this morning. But right now, there's still snow and blowing snow. You can kind of see the visibility restriction here over the city. Not a lot showing up on radar, but there is snow being reported at O'Hare, and the temperature has dropped to 3 with a west wind to 21. That's what it feels like if you don't cover up your head, your hands. This is going to be one of those days for the balaclava. Cover your face or get, something on there if you're going to spend any kind of time outside. Even your dog is going to say, can we pause on that? I'll hold it for a while. Here's the temperature situation. 1 below 0 at DeKalb. It's 0 at Aurora, 7 at Midway, still 10 at Gary. In Michigan City, you just dealt with a little heavier snow shower, 14 degrees. But look at these wind chills. Ouch. Feels like 24 below now at Aurora's airport, 18 below, as we mentioned, at O'Hare. Also 18 below 0 as far south as LaSalle, Peru. Cold weather advisory, all of Chicagoland. This is to account for wind chills that between now and noon might be as bad as 25 below 0 at times. On radar, you can see there are just a handful of northwest to southeast oriented stripes of light snow, but it looks very impressive because of how windy it is. And it can quickly lead to glazing of roadways. There will be some lake effect snow for the next few hours in parts of Berrien and LaPorte County. You've got winter weather advisory for that, even as the rest of Chicagoland starts to clear out. But do not expect a temperature bump this afternoon. We'll be stuck in the single digits all afternoon long. Now, tomorrow, we'll start with some sunshine. In fact, our model thinks it's pretty sunny all day. We'll get up to about 20, 22 degrees. But at night, and specifically later at night, we got some snow coming in here. It's not a big deal. It's an Alberta clipper, but maybe 12 hours, 12 hours of snow could put down an inch in a few spots, especially, I think, northern suburbs. Let's take a look at our Weather Authority Futurecast here for those snowfall totals. We'll run you through the timeline. This morning we're looking at, maybe another coating here and there. But by the time we get to tomorrow night and Wednesday morning, you can see maybe an inch or so coming down, especially north, lesser amounts the farther south you are. All right, 544. There you can barely see the city in the light blowing snow out there. We've got more Good Day Chicago. Stay with us during this winter mess.
From his church in
Welcome back. A man is arrested in connection with several armed robberies and burglaries in the city. Police say 20-year-old Brian Pride committed all these crimes in less than 2 hours on January 3rd. They say he first robbed a 35-year-old woman at gunpoint in the 2300 block of West Chicago Avenue. Police say he then went to a business on North Ashland and robbed 2 people at gunpoint. Investigators then say Pride broke into a business on North Lincoln. He has been charged with 3 felony counts of armed robbery and 2 felony counts of burglary. In Spain, authorities say at least 39 people are dead after 2 high-speed trains traveling in opposite directions collided. This happened in the southern part of the country near Madrid. Police say the evening train came off the rails and jumped onto the opposite track. Both trains were carrying roughly 500 people.
Well, at least 18 people are dead and 50,000 evacuated amid some deadly wildfires in Chile. Crews battled more than a dozen over the weekend, whipped up by strong winds and hot weather. Nearly 4,000 responded to the fires 300 miles south of the capital, Santiago. Chile's president has declared a state of catastrophe, which activates armed forces to help.
Okay, here's something you don't see often, Brian. Snowfall in Florida.
Oof.
The Panhandle picked up an inch of snow yesterday, and this marks the 2nd straight year for Florida snowfall in January. And you know Florida very well.
Very, very well. Spent 7 years down there, never saw a snowflake.
Crazy. And this honestly, it looks like a camera from Chicago.
It does, right? It could have been right down the street here.
I don't know.
All right, we got more news, weather, and traffic still to come for you this MLK Monday. We'll be right back.
This program on Fox.
The Bears season comes to an end. Caleb Williams threw a miracle late touchdown pass to Cole Kmet to tie the game, but it will be all for naught because an interception he threw in overtime. He threw an interception, setting up the game-winning field goal for the LA Rams. Bears lose a heartbreaker and end their season, losing 20-17.
So sad. Today, the nation remembers the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. MLK Day is held the 3rd Monday in January. It's a day to recognize his work in the civil rights movement. There are events today across the city and suburbs.
Well, 1,500 active duty soldiers are now on standby for a possible deployment to Minneapolis. President Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act amid protests in Minneapolis over ICE agents. A new study finds there is no meaningful link between a pregnant mother using Tylenol and her child developing autism or ADHD.
An international research team reviewed 43 studies before coming to that conclusion. One study compared siblings from the same family. One was exposed to acetaminophen in the womb and the other was not. There was no difference in developmental outcomes. The findings were published in The Lancet.
Well, Green Day will be performing at the Super Bowl opening ceremony. Past Super Bowl MVPs will walk the field as Green Day performs. Frontman Billy Joe Armstrong says they're honored to be part of the celebration. Bad Bunny will be this year's halftime performer. The Super Bowl is coming up on February 8th in Santa Clara, California.
Well, Avatar: Fire and Ash is still ruling the box office. It held the top spot for a 5th straight weekend. The film's global total now tops $1.3 billion. Meanwhile, Sony's new release, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, underperformed, debuting with $13 million domestically.
Well, Venus Williams seems to be drinking from the fountain of youth. She broke a record on the tennis court at the Australian Open with her first appearance at the tournament in 5 years. The now 45-year-old received a wild card entry to play and then became the oldest woman ever to play in the main draw. However, the 7-time Grand Slam winner bowed out to applause in her first round exit. Still a win. She got out there on the court, right?
Good for her. You know, Mike, Roseanne made such a good point that you should make sure that you're bundled up, even if you're going from your nice warm car, nice warm garage to, and going for your morning commute, because I've seen a lot of stalls.
all the layers.
I've seen a lot of stalls, flat tires, reports like that.
Yeah, you know, the last thing you want to do is have, some mishap in the car. You're not properly dressed. Just layer up, as Brian just mentioned there, and drive safely. Gabriella's going to keep us posted throughout the morning. Lots of crashes out there on this kind of black ice as a result of the blowing snow. These are the wind chills. It's painful to be out there for any period of time. If you're out with a dog this morning, they're going to be doing that thing with their feet. It gets so cold on their paws. They're not going to want to spend much time out there. Neither will you. 18 below the wind chill at O'Hare. 24 below zero is the wind chill at Aurora's Airport, and all of Chicagoland under a cold weather advisory until noon. Clouds will start to break up from west to east. We'll see a little bit more light snow this morning, and then it's going to be blowing snow pretty much all day long with these gusty west winds. Another storm system, an Alberta Clippers, coming in from the northwest. That will arrive late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. At this point, I'm favoring the most snow falling in the northern tier of Illinois counties, and even there, it's maybe an inch and a half, not a big deal. And then we'll have some more reinforcing shots of cold coming in here all week long with another punch in the face of Arctic air. That's going to hit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Another bitter, cold weekend. Our high happened already. It was 18. Now we're in the single digits for the rest of the day with wind chills, probably no better than about minus 15 this afternoon. Snow, falling snow will come to an end, but there'll be blowing snow almost all day long. Tonight, down to a goose egg. The winds will diminish and temperatures will level off under a partly cloudy sky. Tomorrow we start with sunshine, clouds over, then here comes an inch or so of snow, especially north tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Wednesday's high 30, and that's the garden day of the bunch. 20 on Thursday, maybe a snow shower Thursday night on the Arctic front, which will punish us. Highs lucky to get into the double digits Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right, I've got an interesting travelogue here from my friend Laura Schwartz, who has been in Norway with her wonderful, talented daughter. There they are at Ramsfjordbotn feeding reindeer. I don't see Santa out there. Which one is that? Is that Donner or Blitzen? I can't tell, but how fun is that to be able to hand feed reindeer in Norway? And there are the two of them enjoying the northern lights, which they saw repeatedly. They also went whale watching, saw fin whales and orca there in the Norwegian Sea. And look at these northern lights, absolutely glorious there. That's straight overhead. That's what's called the corona when you get them overhead. We actually had that here a couple times in the past year or so. But in Norway, that is the Northern Lights capital. Laura, thank you for sharing your trip with us, and I just wanted to share those beautiful pictures here with our audience. Bear down, the sign says. And I'm still bearing down even after last night's loss. It was a heck of a season. We'll be right back with more of Good Day.
Hurt in a wreck? The insurance company's